Hi, Dan.
Polly.
So, we're back.
We are back.
We have not done a podcast together for a really long time.
Sofa.
Sofa.
Are we gonna say it? What
We're
else
going to
has
mention
changed?
we've had a little upgrade. We've got a sofa. There's a dog here.
Double upgrade.
Double upgrade. I think that's it, to be honest. We've
We
not
are
been
back.
upgraded, unfortunately.
No.
He's still stuck with us.
Sorry.
But yeah, we've not done a podcast for many months. Many months.
Ages and ages.
But I've got a good one.
Go on.
Agency.
Yep.
Red flags.
Go on then.
So, there is a couple of angles we can come at this from, but I think the most important one, and the one that I know full well you'll have an awful lot to say on, is the red flags that brands should be looking for when they're looking to recruit an agency
Yeah.
or work with an agency.
Yeah.
So,
We had one yesterday. Well, yeah. Not yesterday. Recently. Yeah. One of the things that come. This is yes, agency, but quite specific about one of the. I'm not going to call it services, but one of the areas that we specialise in as part of what we do as an agency.
Yep.
Being PR.
Yep. Oh, I know where you're going.
So, I mean, I feel very underqualified compared to some other people who may work in PR and have done for many, many years in their careers. But from my slim experience within working in PR, we seem to have to navigate this thing, and we navigate it as confidently as we always will. We won't budge on this, but it's the whole thing of brand comes to agency, says that they want PR, be it traditional or more sort of appropriately now digital PR and link building, and effectively saying, let's KPI the work. This is the brand talking to the agency. Let's KPI the work that you're going to do for us from a PR perspective. And the most common KPI is, let's set a number of links that you will generate in a month, a quarter, a year, whatever you want to say, and effectively contract it, stick it in your contract. And agencies, well, let's do it. Let's put it this way: agencies, i.e., us, coming from our experience, there is so much evidence, not least coming from Google themselves, to say, well, I was going to say buying links. That's a whole different story, but counting links is futile.
No, these aren't bought links that you're saying in terms of targets.
No.
These are earned links.
Yeah, exactly that. Natural earned links, authoritative, trust-building links back to a website. And brands, I understand it. Like, KPIs are so important. They are for everybody's, for everyone's expectations management. So important. But PR just seems to be the default KPI. Seems to be number of links that you're going to generate as an agency for a brand in a month. Let's just say. And Google have repeatedly come out as well, and said counting links. I think it's these words as well. John Mueller said counting links is somewhat futile. It's all about the quality, effectively.
Yeah.
So we bang that drum, because what is the point in hitting a KPI of, just for argument's sake, for ease, round number, 10 links a month, if they're not going to be relevant and or from authoritative sites for the purposes of natural link building and boosting the authority of a website in the eyes of Google and obviously users as well, but Google.
So do we commonly say if another agency is giving brands these KPIs and they say X amount of links, they don't say X amount of links with like a domain
quality
above.
score.
Yeah.
So that I think some do and some will, but
right.
That has just been completely, like, what's the word, thrown out in terms of its validity by Google, because it is just all about the coverage relevancy and the quality. So for that to be the leading KPI that agencies are either signing up to or suggesting, putting forward to brands, is just driving the wrong type of well, even quality. The wrong sort of qualities in what is determining and motivating your work as in PR,
Okay.
driving links,
Yeah.
because you're looking at a number.
Yeah. 100%,
Well, if you,
yeah,
it's
bullshit,
like
yeah.
it's almost like sales.
Yeah.
If you're just given an arbitrary number, it's like,
What's
all
that
right, I'll
based
just
on?
go and
Yeah.
knock on some doors. There won't be sustainable long-term
Yeah.
relationship, but I'll get some contracts signed and they'll be worth £10,000 and that's it. Hit a
Yeah.
target. But like that's a big reason. You come from it. You come at it from the same career experience as me, and I've just used sales. So
Yeah.
continuing in that thread, you can't just arbitrarily throw a sort of sales target with no research, no quality score in there, because ultimately it just becomes churn, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You're just
100%,
signing
yeah,
contracts to hit a number target.
Which we've all seen.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that in itself is another agency red flag, but from a slightly
Oh
different
yeah,
angle.
yeah, it is.
So I guess here, big red flag straight away. You're looking for a digital PR agency and they come back with, yeah, sure, here's what we're going to get. And they're literally just looking at links and number of links.
And worryingly guaranteeing
links, because then you're just going to be looking for those small crappy websites.
It's just driving the wrong, it's driving completely the wrong intention.
Yeah. So what would the green flag be?
The green flag, firstly, would be the opportunity, and we've had this like very recently, the opportunity to be able to demonstrate the sort of our approach, which I've just talked through there, i.e. not just all about driving number of links, talking about quality, explaining, justifying it. Obviously, the approach as to how we go about driving that type of natural, authoritative quality links for our clients, and ultimately also being able to like challenge the brand on it. You're not always afforded this opportunity, but if a brand fair dues are quite transparent and say we're speaking to other agencies and they've told us they will guarantee X number of links a month, a quarter, per campaign, whatever, like the green flag for me would be able to be for us to be able to say to the brand, can we challenge you and them on that? Why, and give you the reasons back into like our approach to sort of circle it all back, box it off basically. That for me is a green flag that a brand would go, all right, you want to like challenge that, like I hear what you're saying and I'll listen to it and I'll consider it. So we've been afforded the opportunity to do that, but we've still lost to another agency. So even then you can walk that path and try do the right things to navigate maybe a red flag. Dog's about to fall off the
Dog
sofa.
is literally hanging on the sofa. Just scoop back on.
Moving from like a red flag into a green flag would be obviously the ideal, and a red flag in that instance very specifically would be, we're speaking to other agencies, they've promised us this, what would you promise us? And we go, no, let us challenge you.
This is what we'd actually be focusing on, this is what we'd actually be driving.
Let us show you quality rather than quantity in terms of like case studies and what we feel we can do for you. So not only the green flag is like, or the semi-green flag is being able to challenge them on that, but you want it for a full green flag, you then want to obviously them turn around and go, well, I'm not going to listen to those other agencies. We're going to listen to you and go with you. However, that hasn't happened very recently. And
you bitched, Dan.
Yeah. It's quite concerning that it's still happening, and I firmly believe it will continue to happen by other agencies. This whole narrative of, we'll guarantee, we'll promise, we'll work
it's very old school, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it totally is. And what's really concerning is, even if you think that us as an agency would challenge that, and hopefully we'd challenge that positively and professionally, which I think we would do, like, even then, you've got Google saying, like, we've got the backing of Google. We're not just making this up for our own gain or anything like that.
Oh, we've got this different approach.
Yeah.
Like, no, we have the approach that's approved by Google.
And evidence. Like, so my worry with this, and it's many, many things, this is just links that we're talking about in PR here, but there's many things like we touched on sales where been given the opportunity to like challenge that thinking and put like our point across with also backed by like evidence from people like Google. You'd like to think it put you in great stead, but it doesn't always work that way. So then, unfortunately, like we've had quite recently, we're missing out to well-known, successful and admirable, admirable from the outside looking in, agencies that are doing what looks like the right thing, great client rosters, all that sort of stuff, growing, blah, 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 blah. But they're clearly still promising, in this instance, from a PR perspective, number of links. And unfortunately, if you've got agency A saying, we're guaranteeing you 5 links, and you've got agency B going, we ain't going to guarantee you anything because we're all about quality.
What
What we'll do is we'll report on it transparently, blah, 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 all that stuff. You're still sometimes evidently fighting a losing battle as
and
agency.
also that, particularly if then the brand themselves have it wrong and what they're looking for, if they've always worked to a number of links and that's what they've got in place as their targets and that's what they've got in place for when they're looking for a new agency. It's like, well, obviously if somebody's ticking that box for them and it lines up with what they've previously catalogued and what they've previously worked towards, you're going to pick them.
Exactly that. And that you've just described there is such a bigger monumental shift psychologically to instill the trust in educating someone completely away from what they've always done. It's the whole status, like just getting on with doing getting used to it. It's like when we talk about SEO, and I've said this so many times on this podcast.
Is this going to be another red flag?
Well, I don't think it's a red flag because that's a bit harsh, but it's like I just firmly believe in it being labelled as search nowadays, not SEO, not paid. Like that whole balanced approach and like wanky word, but holistic, joined up approach, like needs to be just thought of, I think, as search. It's a bit like that. That's quite a big shift away from like everyone's day-to-day lingo and experience to expect like brands to look for a search agency. They're more geared up to looking for an SEO agency or a paid agency.
Particularly if people look at SEO and think it's a bit scary, whereas they wouldn't look at search and think it was a bit scary. Do you know what I mean?
But
because people forget that because everybody uses search day to day across every single platform, that doesn't feel as daunting.
No.
And understanding how search works, most people have a bit of common knowledge without even realising.
Yeah.
But if you say to them SEO,
they
all literally just like cry a bit.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's connotations as well. So it's not only like moving away from that mindset, because ultimately, I mean, we're totally going off on a tangent here, but like the SEO has always had a label and the knowledge base being sort of like a spectrum for people. People are really confident with it or think it's a dark art and all that. That connotation unfortunately still exists with brands, and well, not just brands, people in marketing. So you're having to overcome that, and that's why I think search is this like new label and mindset and approach, and effectively like creating this program of work and effort, regardless of if it's organic and paid, underneath this like umbrella term of search, is better than thinking about it as SEO or paid. The hardest thing though is that's lingo that has been in our career path in this industry for years and years and years. So people just think we need an SEO agency. It'd be really good to think of just we need a search agency, and it doesn't really matter what the split of organic and paid is. Like it's not set in stone. It's flexible month on month to change the distribution of like how that budget is deployed. So that's how
it should be. It's dependent on so many things,
and it matches how we all use the internet as consumers, which is multi-channel, multi-device, multi-browser. So it's that mindset rather than just like search engine optimization. It's just too, I think it's too static, that, and too old school really, and comes like exactly what you said, comes with ready-made connotations that are hard to like get over and hard to sort of rejig people's expectations and sort of understanding with something that is more applicable today, in my opinion, which is just search as a label. So we've sort of gone off on a bit of a tangent there. So it's not a red flag. So because I think that's too extreme. I think it's a big ask and a big task that I'm quite determined to see if we can navigate quite confidently to try and bring brands onto our side of the table with their understanding of like why I personally think it should be a search mindset, not an SEO and or paid.
Yeah, completely agree.
Mindset. But yeah, back to the red flag.
Go on, give me another red flag.
Well, I mean, the red flag, obviously, that we were talking about there is something that's happened really recently.
Unrealistic KPIs,
Yeah, and I think...
Or unimportant KPIs.
Yeah.
Vanity metrics.
Yeah. Well, vanity, and they all of that ties into the same thing, which is like expectations management. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is instill confidence in our prospective clients that if we set KPIs, we want to be given and we can demonstrate it through like case studies and whatnot. We want to have them have the confidence in us that if we set KPIs that they're happy with, sort of let us get on with navigating how we get to those KPIs.
Yep.
Obviously, not in no hush hush like black hat way, but we'll get to them with, as I said, like a blend of organic and paid effort, for example. But KPIs is where I think expectations management is so critical and is so often let down. So I think a big red flag if you're a brand approaching agencies about whatever the skill set, the specialisms are that you're looking for, one of the first questions you want to hear an agency ask you is, what are we trying to achieve and can we KPI that?
Yeah.
That has got, and I don't think that happens.
Yeah, it shouldn't just be right, these are the metrics we usually look at, this is what we track, It should be actually what's really important to you.
Yeah.
How do we demonstrate that with data? How do we demonstrate that with findings? 100%. How do we demonstrate that with experimentation? And here's how that report looks.
Yeah, 100%.
And this is changeable. This isn't like a set in stone, like this, if you want to add more things in. It's not just this is the one way we do it and we do it for every single client.
Yeah.
That should be like as bespoke as a strategy.
Definitely. Yeah, and I genuinely, I know I only work at this agency, but and have done for the last 5 years. So for the last 5 years, I haven't been at other agencies, but just the general questions we sometimes get from brands that have already spoken to agencies within like a pitch process.
Yep.
You just start getting a feeling that like you're asking these questions for the first time, even though they've just told you supposedly that they've spoken to other agencies. You go, what are we trying to achieve here? Like, and as I said, how do we try and KPI
not
that?
What do we want? Like, we want some paid ads, right? Why do you want some
exactly?
paid ads? Like, what's driven this? What's driven you to? Because there's always got to be a really decent amount of motivation, and a brand will always have a decent amount of motivation. Because to get to the stage where you're talking to an agency, you've had to sit down and find money.
Yeah.
So you've had to split a budget.
Yeah.
And no brand is just going, well, yeah, sure, we don't need a reason. Just have some money to put into whatever you want.
Especially not nowadays. And for the last, 3 years, we've been in cost of living crisis and all that sort of stuff.
And that's the bit that I think a lot of agencies forget to ask about. 100%. Is like, how have you got to this point? And it's those, it's almost like the question of like, right, what got put forward to like the board?
Yeah. Yeah.
Put that forward to us.
Yeah.
Not just we want some paid ads because we want to take more bookings on this or we want to sell more of this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think what you want to do is like you want to ask that question to almost be able to say, if that brand has approached you as an agency because the brand thinks we need an SEO agency for argument's sake, and they come to you and they say, we need an SEO agency. All right, that's great. What are you looking to achieve? And whatever they come out with, you start diving into and investigating a bit more, and you start talking about like setting KPIs with them. It could very quickly become apparent that SEO isn't the right channel, or paid exactly, for example, isn't the right channel, and SEO and brand investment might be better for them.
Yeah.
So an agency should be putting themselves in the best position to understand exactly what ultimately the brand is trying to achieve, so that they can positively challenge that brand on what their expectations are, because they might have knocked on your door as an agency, and said, we need a new paid agency. But if you then start, I mean, it sounds like you're fucking interrogating them in a way, but if you start getting proper questions and insight and the outcomes that you want as an agency, and having meaningful conversation in terms of what is the business trying to achieve, then you may well say, look, I know you're knocked on our door for paid, but actually what you've told us is X, Y, and Z. Therefore, you open for us to, I don't know, redirect the conversation into, like I said, this search program where it's organic, it's paid, whatever. And without that, just waiting for someone to knock on your door and go, we need a new paid agency, and just going, okay, we can do paid. Let us do paid for you. It's very like transactional and service
where
providers.
Brands fall into a trap as well is, yes, there are some amazing agencies out there that do one specialist. But if you go to an agency that just does paid and tell them that you just want paid, obviously they're going to give you paid.
Yeah.
Whereas if you went to a multi-service agency, said, oh, we want to do some paid, here's our reasons behind it, they look into it a bit more and go, actually, we know from our experience, from our specialisms, SEO would be a better investment for you right now.
Yeah.
We have that here. A paid agency, or...
Well, no, they're not.
Not necessarily always paid, but, like an agency just serving one individual specialism is not going to give you that.
No. No, because they don't want to walk away.
Course they don't.
Most often won't
Give
walk
us the
away.
money.
Yeah, exactly. We've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's define it in our
Here's
in our
some
way.
ads. Yeah.
Exactly. But so that to me is a big red flag. And I get it. Like in your example you've just given there, like a paid specialist agency for argument's sake, and a brief lands on their doorstep for paid. I get it. Like the brand should know that they're approaching a paid only agency, so that should feel more like transactional and service providery. But I don't like. I'm again. I've had quite a lot of conversations with Lee about this. From our side of things, I don't like us being thought of, and I don't like the thought of this out in the wild that we're just providing a service as an agency. That is very linear and very like narrow.
It's not really who we are,
No,
though. I don't think we would ever.
We provide.
I don't think where we are now. I don't think we would be considered as that. But that's such an important thing to consider from a brand's point of view. Is like, how are they positioning themselves?
Yeah.
Does it feel transactional? Your relationship with your agency, if it feels transactional at any stage, I would say that's a red flag in itself. I
mean, yeah, 100%. And the worry is, if it's going a bit, let's say, stale like that, there are so many agencies out there that brand can just go,
yeah, exactly.
I've had enough. I'm going to go and find I'm going to literally knock on the neighbours to our agency's door, because there's probably an agency next door to our existing agency, because there are buildings full of them. Because there are so many agencies. But yeah, I think they're some key, and they're pretty much interlinked there that we talked about, definitely. Red flags. But it's certainly all around, in my opinion, it's all around instilling confidence and also expectations management. And we've talked about expectations management from like day one, both internally, like you've just welcomed someone into your team. You have to manage people's expectations internally as well as as we're obviously specifically talking about client relationships here. Expectations management is so crucial from as early as day one as you can possibly get, and also keep managing people's expectations as well, especially client relationships. That's when like QBRs are great for. That's a good touch point for, again, managing and maybe reforecasting expectations. That is a huge red flag for me that I would certainly like recommend brands get a really good expectations management feel from agencies that they've maybe started speaking to. Do you have any other red flags? Because I feel like I've gone on ranting.
Might move on to some this or that's.
Go on then. Have you got some?
No, but I'm going to make some up, Dan.
Oh my God.
So they could be rogue. They could be good.
Go on then. This or that. Shall I answer that one first? This or that?
Yeah.
This.
I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. I mean, it says only hat. Wine or beer?
Beer. I thought you were going to say cats or dogs or that.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. Can you imagine what she'd have said?
She's actually asleep like that.
We still have a dog, by the way, for anyone who's not watching.
If you're not on video, we're not just being really weird.
Yeah.
I thought I had a really good one then. Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Do you know how to use a Mac?
No. Chinese food or Indian food?
Indian. I don't really like Chinese that much.
I'm with you.
Should we try and think of some business related ones?
No. Yes or no? No. That's my this or that.
Digital or traditional PR?
I mean, I'm gonna say digital, but to be honest,
traditional PR is a real place.
And now the line between those two is so blurred.
Yeah, it is.
That, I mean, yeah. Personally, I would go in the middle and say PR, which covers both. But yeah, I'll go digital. Do I need to think of one for you? I can't.
No, I'm done.